Following a papal apology to Indigenous leaders at the Vatican last week, the head of the Anglican Church is slated to further reconciliation efforts with a visit here in Canada at the end of the month.
First Nations officials tell us the tour is to include a stop at the former Mohawk Institute in Brantford, but officials are now hearing the Anglican Church visit may not happen. Jason Gaidola reports.
A path to reconciliation with Indigenous communities continues with an Anglican visit to Canada that may or may not include a stop at Canada's longest-running residential school.
Most up-to-date itinerary was sent to us last week, so we have not heard otherwise if the trip has been cancelled or not. We're assuming it's still on. Executive
Director of the Woodland Cultural Centre, Janis Monture, says Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, is slated to tour the former Mohawk Institute Residential School on May 2nd. But the Anglican Church of Canada tells CHCH News there are still negotiations going on with organizers and that the trip is currently not confirmed. The Canadian arm says the clerical leader will be in Canada from April 29th to May 3rd in an attempt to meet and listen to residential school survivors. For much of its history between 1828 to 1970, the former institution was ran by the Anglican Church, a system designed to assimilate First Nations children, many who were subjected to abuse. The Anglican initiative comes in the wake of a papal apology following a monumental meet between Indigenous leaders and Pope Francis at the Vatican last week. The Catholic Church operated about 70% of the residential schools.
From what I understand, he's traveling across Canada, but I don't know if there was something on his end in England or anything else. I'm not too sure.
The Anglican Church of Canada did not give reasons why plans have not finalized. The chair of the Mohawk Chapel Committee, who is organizing the visit, responded to us adding, until further discussion takes place, no comment.
I was made aware that there was a potential visit, and I didn't realize it was put on hold, but certainly I think it's a step towards something.
Kiiwetinoong MPP Saul Mamakwa was at the site with survivors today. He hopes the scheduled visit is the first of many in Canada, including Brantford.
The strapping that happened and, being put in a room for, like a solitary confinement for 2-3 straight days, it's just unreal.
The school's history also prompted a ground search for unmarked graves on 500 acres of land. Authorities will continue their search for unmarked graves, set to resume sometime this early spring. However, the Woodland Cultural Centre says the Archbishop's visit will not include a tour of those grounds. Following the former residential school, the Archbishop is scheduled to be at the Royal Chapel of the Mohawks later that evening. Jason Gaidola, CHCH News, Brantford.